Puri, the householder god. When I mentioned to my friends that this was a temple of Krishna, the priest, locally known as the Panda, frowned. Sir, Krishna is an avatar, but our Jagannath is the avatari. Avatar is the descended mortal form of the divine who walks on earth. Avatari is the divinity in heaven above who descends to the earth. With this one sentence, I was reminded that while much of the rituals are Vaishnav and the deity enshrined in Puri, Orissa is linked to Krishna, he is called Jagannath, the Lord of the world, for a reason. Yes, for most people it is the only temple in India where Krishna is worshipped with his siblings, his elder brother Balaram and his younger sister Subhadra. But for the locals, the enshrined deity is to be simultaneously identified with Vishnu, the preserver of the world, and is often called Ananta Vasudev, the embodiment of infinity. His consort is neither Radha nor Rukmini but Lakshmi herself. All the while, the priests will tell you that different people see the deity differently. The tired is different forms of Tara to Shaktas, different Bhairavs to the Shaivas, the embodiment of the Buddhist ideas to the Buddhist, and the coincidence of the Jain principles to Jains. A local shopkeeper had a very different explanation. Actually, sir, the dark one is Vishnu, he simplified, and the fair one is Shiva, and the turmeric coated one is Shakti. The Sudarshan stuff by the side of Vishnu is Brahma. Thus, it embodies the Hindu trinity mentioned in Purans. A scholar insisted that in the Rig Veda there is a reference of a log of wood, daru, floating on the waters, and it must be referring to the log of wood used to create the deity 12 years or so. The deity of this temple is characteristically mortal. He takes birth every 12 years when there are 2 extra summer months as per the traditional lunar calendar. Special neem trees are identified and used to carve fresh images of the triad. In an elaborate, secret ritual which involves the transfer of the soul substance from inside the old image to the new image. Every deity is dressed differently according to the seasons, woolens in winter, light cotton robes in summer. He celebrates every festival and loves being entertained with music and dance in the Natya Mandap. There is a huge kitchen on one side of the temple where each day the choicest of dishes are cooked in steam. These are offered to the deity in the room known as the Bhog Mandap and finally sold to the devotees in the market known as the Ananda Bazaar. A god who eats food will also be a god who falls sick every year in summer and a god who will eventually die. Thus, through ritual, we are reminded that the world is impermanent and cyclical. The striking feature of this temple is the value it places on worldliness. The deity goes on boat rides and chariot rides. During the famous chariot festival, each year, he has quarrels with his wife and makes up by offering her gifts and appeal to her compassion. There is also a ritual when the deity performs funeral rites for patrons he had. When he took birth, Vamana, Kashyap and Aditi, Ram, Dasharath and Kaushalya, and Krishna, Devaki, Vasudev, Yashoda and Nanda. Flowers offered to him are shared with his extended family, the various deities who have small temples in the grand temple complex. The walls are carved with images of dancers and musicians, warriors and priests, goddesses and damsels, serpents and demons, reminding us of the world of which Jagannath is the Lord. The story goes, when Krishna died and his body was cremated at Prabhas on the western shores of India, the fire could not destroy his body, so the remains were cast into sea. These reached the eastern shore where tribal people known as the Savars of Orissa found them and they worshipped these remains for generations. A king called Indradumna learned about this and wanted to own this image. So he sent his minister Vidyapati to fetch it. But the Savars kept the image secret. Finally, Vidyapati married the Savars king's daughter and as dowry asked to see the image. As he was taken to the shrine blindfolded, he dropped mustard seeds on the forest floor, which after the rains germinated and flowered, marking the path to the shrine. But when Indradumna came with his army to fetch the image by force, it had disappeared. Finally, when the king apologized, he was told Jagannath would appear as a log of wood that would be carved by a celestial artisan. The king's wife interrupted the celestial artisan's work, and as a result, the deities look unfinished. Jagannath has no eyelids, arms or legs, yet he always has a smile. Perhaps to remind us all of the imperfection of human condition. All of us must face sickness, disease and mortality. Every one of us must bear the burden of responsibilities. We must experience the cycle of seasons, but all the while we can also enjoy the joys of life. Good food, good clothes, good music and good dance. This is truly a worldly God who lords over the world. Jai Jagannath.